Hello everybody. This week's Torah portion is Parshas Ve'era. And the Parsha opens up, Hashem tells Moshe, I appeared to the forefathers Avraham and Yaakov with the name Kel Shakai, but I was not known to them with my name Yud-Heh Vav-Heh. And Rashi explains, Rashi of course which says that Hashem was telling Moshe that he misses the forefathers. The forefathers were on a higher level. That they only had a revelation of Hashem on the level of Kel Shakai, yet they never asked Hashem, why did you cause Lama Hariyosam? Why did you cause them to suffer? Whereas Moshe, who he asked to know the revelation of Yud-Heh Vav-Heh. That's what Rashi says. But the question is, number one, first of all, what exactly is the difference between the revelation of Shakai and the revelation of Yud-Heh Vav-Heh? And second of all, how could it be that in a certain respects the Avos, the forefathers, were on a higher level than Moshe? Moshe was the greatest of all prophets. Moshe received the Torah, the forefathers didn't. So how could it be that Hashem, so to speak, misses the forefathers, where we have someone much greater than who is Moshe? So the Sfas Emes offers the following fascinating approaches. Number one, he explains that the difference between Shakai and Yud-Heh Vav-Heh is as follows. Shakai means, our status say, means Dai Belokus L'chol Beria, which means that there is godliness in all existence. Shakai is a name that focuses on being able to reveal Hashem in nature itself. Whereas Yud-Heh Vav-Heh, which connotes Hashem is the cause of all the past, present, and future, connotes Hashem's absolute transcendence of time and space. And therefore Hashem is totally outside of time and space. And therefore it connotes to this his transcendence, and therefore it also connotes his giving of the revelation of the Torah. So the forefathers, their focus was l'sakein olam v'malchus shakai. Their focus was to perfect the worlds. And it's true, they perhaps could have achieved a higher level of connection to Hashem and the level of Yud-Heh Vav-Heh. But they chose instead to focus on the aspect of Shakai, being able to reveal Hashem in the world itself, being able to reveal the godliness in the world itself. And while the truth is, Yud-Heh Vav-Heh is a higher madrega of connection, but there's a greater Gilui Kvod Shemayim, a greater revelation, a greater spreading of godliness in the world. Moshe was very connected to Hashem. But our forefathers, they paved the way to spreading godliness in the world itself. Therefore, in terms of Pirsum Kvod Shemayim, in terms of spreading the respect for godliness and respect for holiness, our forefathers did a greater job. So that's number one, the contrast between Avraham and the forefathers. Of course, Moshe was greater, but the forefathers had a greater effort and a greater success in spreading Kvod Shemayim. Number two, Shakai connotes being able to perceive Torah itself from nature. But the forefathers, without getting the Torah, they were able to learn morality from nature itself. I say to say, had the Torah not been given, we would learn fidelity from the dove, and we would learn alacrity from an ant, and we would learn modesty from a cat. And there are many examples given in the Torah literature about morality that we could learn from nature itself. So the forefathers were able to look at nature and say, oh, I see how to be kind, I see how to be just, I see how to be honest, I see how to be trustworthy from nature itself. Whereas the next generations did not have that same perception. The later generations, the generation of Moshe, required this revelation, this transcendent revelation of Yud-Heh Vav-Heh to be able to receive the Torah. So while there was a deeper revelation in the later generations, they didn't have the same depth of perception, being able to learn morality from nature itself. So number two. Number three, forefathers were able to actually perfect the world without the Torah. The Torah wasn't given yet. They were able to perfect and elevate the world. As it says, they were able to be mischazik me'elav. They were able to, on their own, so to speak, they were able to elevate and perfect the world. But the later generations were not on that level. They needed the Torah. They needed to be able to be given the Torah to be able to elevate the world. So therefore, the forefathers were able to, on the level of Shakai, without the Torah, they were able to elevate the world. But the later generations required Yud-Heh Vav-Heh, this greater revelation, this assistance, so to speak, of the Torah to be able to perfect the world. Next, we find that the forefathers, they focused on Shakai, they were able to see Hashem even without miracles. Nature itself was a revelation for them. Whereas the later generations required a miracle to perceive the Torah. The forefathers saw Hashem in nature. The later generations required seeing Hashem by the suspension of nature. And therefore, in a certain respect, the forefathers were greater. They were able to see Hashem even without miracles. And finally, another way to say it is, our forefathers, they brought the worlds up to heaven. They elevated the worlds up to heaven. Whereas Moshe brought the Torah from heaven down to earth. So it's a different emphasis. So in summary, we have the following 5 lessons. Number 1, not only is it enough to be connected to Hashem, be davuk and devoted to Hashem, we have to also put effort in being marbek k'vod Shemayim, spreading respect for Hashem. Moshe excelled in his connection to Hashem, but the forefathers excelled in their ability to be marbek k'vod Shemayim, be able to spread respect for Hashem. Number 2, we could be like the forefathers. Not only should we learn lessons from the Torah, be able to see lessons of Torah from nature itself. The nature itself sings praise to Hashem. I say that means we're able to learn lessons from nature itself. Look at nature, learn important lessons from nature itself. Number 3, we can learn that we have this important it's our imperative to elevate all existence, to elevate and sanctify this world by our mitzvos, by our relationship with others, by our relationship with Hashem. And whereas the forefathers can do it on their own, we have the Torah to be able to sanctify our actions and bring holiness and goodness and the spirit of godliness into the world. Number 4, we don't only have to see God through miracles. We can see God in the absence of miracles. We don't have to see God only by the suspension of nature. We can see God by nature itself. Nature itself is actually miraculous. We're just used to it. And finally, it's not enough to try to bring heaven down to earth. We also have to bring the earth up to heaven. We all have a wonderful Shabbos, and let's absorb these profound lessons.